So welcome back to my channel, and this is going to be the first video in the series where I break down different interesting topics and sports or hobbies that I have decided to get into. So for the first video, I wanted to start out with the sport or martial art of Muay Thai, which is known as the art of 8 limbs. I'd like to make a disclaimer that I'm not an actual fighter and I haven't been in any professional or amateur fights. I'm just a guy that has a decent athletic background and some martial arts training as well, involving karate and taekwondo when I was a kid. But I decided to get into it for the pure purpose of physical fitness and also self-defense. I know a lot of people train and want to train for the sole purpose of fighting and maybe getting into a professional debut, that type of thing. I never really decided to do that, but speaking from a complete, I guess, amateur's standpoints, and as someone who really learned from themselves and from a coach, I spent about an equal amount of time doing each. I want to give some of the best insights that I had on the martial art and give you a little bit of a background as well into what Muay Thai actually is. The first recorded instance of Muay Thai was the Thailand army, and this army was made out of a need to defend themselves at the time. So they decided that they would create their own martial art, and this is what they called it, Muay Thai. So this is something that they used to integrate armed and unarmed combat together, and this is what they used at the time. So it's what they called it, and it was eventually adapted and integrated into their culture over time, which led to much difference of a society than we have here in the United States. But what they have and how it's integrated into their culture, they raise fighters at a very young age. So these fighters are often fighting as early as maybe a few years after they can walk. And so they've already started training almost as soon as they can walk. Then soon after, they are actually thrown into their first fight against other younger children. These younger fighters, like very young fighters, probably talking about ages of 8 and 9, will then fight other children and then bring back money to their parents, to their home. And this is actually a way for a lot of Thailand citizens to survive, and I think that's even true today. So bear in mind, a lot of countries live very differently than we do here. So one of the most important things about Muay Thai is the diversity of strikes that they have. So they use hands, so punches, knees, and kicks, and also elbows in all of their combat. And you'll get to see me do all of the above in just a second here, where I start with the punches. The Muay Thai stance is a very tall stance that involves staying very square with your opponents and having a very tall, narrow stance that can be used to defend yourself by checking kicks, blocking with elbows, and also lets you get in range by marching down your opponents with your very strong defense and confident footwork. So those punches aren't very much different from the general boxing or kickboxing style, because that's the staple for boxing. You'll be able to have jabs, crosses, hooks, uppercuts when possible. Here, the footage I'm using is bare knuckle, so you can't quite hit as hard, but with the impacts that you're actually feeling on your hand, the hard parts of the bone are actually going to cause a lot more damage than with gloves. So while you may not be hitting as hard, you're going to be making more of an impact with those tiny bones in your hands. Moving into the kicks in Muay Thai I think they're the staple, and you would very much think that these are the flagship of Muay Thai. They involve stepping very wide to the outside of the opponent and swinging your leg like a baseball bat to make impact. And the strikes are often very devastating and can be used for multiple areas. Here you'll see me target the legs, midsection, and even head. And these can be chained in variation to mix up your opponent's block timings. These can be, you can switch stances in order to get to your left leg, to trip up your opponents as well. And that's the most I can explain in a short period of time, but Muay Thai definitely focuses a lot more on power and efficiency rather than speed. When a lot of martial artists mention Muay Thai, they'll usually bring up the knees and elbows as some of the flagship strikes of Muay Thai. So with the elbows, a lot of Thais like to leave their hands open, and the most efficient way of throwing that is leaving your hand open and throwing it like a hook. So you'll throw your elbow just like a hook. You can throw a right and a left from there. A modification of that that can be used to break the guard would be lowering your hand and allowing your elbow to come over the top by almost turning your body. And this can be more of like an overhand elbow that can go over the top of someone's guard. And some of the other variations involve an up elbow, which can also go through the guard if you step into it and hit up to try and hit the person like an uppercut. And lastly, one that's not very used commonly is the tomahawk elbow, which is very, very short range, but it is seen almost as a spike of a sort. I tried a few times. It's definitely painful to land on a heavy bag, so I wouldn't advise it. Moving on to knees, which would be the last thing here. Knees definitely are the hardest to demonstrate on a heavy bag, but knees are very easily and commonly used in the clinch, which is when you grab onto your opponents and both of you are fighting to wrestle each other to the ground. It's the same thing that happens when two boxers collide together and the ref usually separates them, except Muay Thai, you will have to fight your way out of that position. So you'll have to either drag the person to the ground, pull them into one of your knees, or disconnect from them by pushing them away and landing an elbow at the end of it. I think what separates this martial art from a lot of others is the focus on efficiency. This martial art I got drawn to this martial art due to this, because I had trained karate and taekwondo as a kid, and these seem to be great under the right conditions. You can land power punches and really turn your hips into everything, and they seem to work very well in sparring for point combat, but in an actual fighting situation, it seemed I lacked in the sparring aspect quite a bit, and it always ended up being more of a boxing or wrestling match, and I never thought that it was applicable, so it didn't help as much in an actual self-defense situation. So I considered this, and I was like, man, there's got to be something out there that's more efficient than this. And then I was drawn into a Muay Thai gym. I think I was just driving around one day looking for the kickboxing gyms to get into, and this is one that caught my eye. And the efficiency of their strikes, I found out Muay Thai is designed around that efficiency. They want to make sure these strikes deliver as much power as possible while consuming as little energy as possible. So they stand very square, tall, and narrow with their hands up to protect their head and very high stance so that they can deliver kicks and also defend against them. So the way they defend against kicks is known as a check, where they lift the leg up and block other kicks to their legs and body with their shin. So it almost looks like this here, where the fighter will lift their leg up to meet their elbow and almost form a wall on one side of their body in order to defend against it. That being said, a lot of this martial art is designed to take hits and fire them back as soon as possible. So it's a very difficult sport on that aspect, but I think it's also great for fitness because you can learn to manage your breath, you can learn to read your opponent's timings. It's very helpful, and overall, I think it was great for my conditioning. As a non-fighter, I think that's probably one of the more important things too, since you keep your body moving and it's going to translate well into other athletic endeavors. So now the real question is Muay Thai right for you, and should you train it? So if you are a fighter already and are planning to transition into Muay Thai, I would definitely suggest it because the knees and elbows and just the overall stance and attitude of Muay Thai will definitely blend well with your personality because you will be able to stand and block. The defense for strikes is incredible, and you'll be able to defend against most kicks. I'm sure even most, at least most of the MMA fighters nowadays, UFC, they all train Muay Thai for a little bit. So I probably don't even need to tell you this. But for most of the other fighters, or most of the other people who are looking to get into a new martial art or hobby, I would definitely suggest trying it for some time. I think it can be great for most people who don't have any injuries, lifetime injuries that can prevent them from doing it. If you're looking to get into shape, definitely, I would 100% suggest it. There are coaches who can tailor their routines to you, and you'll be able to build up your fitness much faster due to the intensity of it. And don't worry about needing to go round and round with another person. I guarantee most gyms will not let you spar someone else. Most good gyms will not let you spar anyone until you've been there for a little bit, met the people, and learned enough to be at least competitive or protect yourself in the ring. And even then, the first opponent that you have, they'll probably just be light and it'll be touch sparring just to get you used to the glove sliding. But if you have no experience in martial arts, this would definitely be the one that I would suggest to get into first for a few different reasons. It's the defense that you can use to keep yourself like protected. The elbow blocks and long guard that they use, where they protect their head like this with their elbows, very helpful in clinch situations and overall self-defense. But the fitness aspect of it has been very helpful. They need to have extreme endurance in some situations, and you're going to build up a lot of core strength just by doing a lot of the workouts. Hip flexibility from high kicks, kicks in general, you're going to need to build up a lot of strength in your core in order to be able to deliver some of these strikes. But I would definitely suggest it as long as you don't have any like out, outstanding injuries and maybe your like in your legs. That can be pretty bad if you end up having like rolling an ankle or maybe even fracturing something. That could be bad. But if you can dial it down and you express this to your coach, they can even tailor this to you. And if you're training at home or on a budget, the best thing I would suggest is to get a partner and you can train with. Invest in gloves and I guess hand wraps. Shouldn't be too expensive, but these are definitely worth the price if you just use them with a partner. The best investment for if you're training alone with a partner would be a set of Thai pads. I think I have a few nearby, but these are basically just long foam pads, hard foam that you can use to, it's like the boxing pads that you can hold up where they're targets and you can hold them up with your hands and have your partner hit them, almost like a high five but with a punch. And they can do the same for kicks as well, kicks and elbows. So that's definitely worth the investment. That's what I train like right now. I have a partner that I train with at my LA Fitness, and it's not too expensive because I'm not training at a gym right now, but hopefully I can get back into one that's nearby where I live, and that's definitely something that I look forward to. So, all right. So thanks for sticking around and watching till the end of this video. I wanted to make this video as a bit of an overview of Muay Thai, and the plan is to get a full comprehensive guide on how to learn and get into and actually continue to practice and train Muay Thai. And I guess that would be for every other skill and hobby that I try to learn in the future. So the plan is to try and make that and upload it, maybe 6 of these guides a year, because these are going to be very in-depth guides that are on topics that I really, really care about and have a lot to say about. I think I can offer a unique insight on these given a long video, so I'm going to upload those at least, like I said, six a year, so one every 2 months on 6 topics a year. So definitely let me know which topics you'd want me to put more of a focus on, and I will consider them. But if there's any other topics you want me to at least visit, I will definitely enjoy looking at them and definitely learn them to at least some degree. But until next time, I will let you know when I upload the next video. Going to be hopefully every week, maybe less than that. I'm excited to upload more because there's a lot to learn, and definitely, even with video editing, I'm still struggling a little bit. But, alright, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye bye.